Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc., the channel all about bringing you as much nerdy content as possible. Today for you, we're back in Dragon Village M, and we're doing a review of the brand new dragon, Dimension Dragon. Alright, it's currently in the raid up, but probably not for very much longer, so if you want to get this dragon, then now is the time. But is it worth getting? Let's find out. As always, if you're new to the channel, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this. I'm always putting out review dragons of brand new dragons all the time. Every time there's a new dragon, I will definitely put a review video out within a week or two of it hitting the game. So if you're always looking for the latest and greatest news, this is the channel for you. All right. Also, if you really enjoy what I do and want to give back to me, so that way I can continue putting out videos for the community to help the game grow. Consider supporting me on Patreon. I have a link in the description below for that as well. Pretty soon I'm going to be putting out t-shirts, so if you want a t-shirt that says Battle Ready Inc. across the chest, I'm going to start throwing some links in the description below for those as well, so stay tuned for that. As soon as I get some kinks worked out, then definitely be on the lookout in the description for those links. Alright? But let's get into this. Let's look at this dragon. So right off the bat, pretty cool design overall. So this is the one that's in the raid up right now. It's the fire version. That's its adult, baby, and the junior. Basically the same thing. And then that's just, yeah, he gets the blue on the wings and he's a little bit bigger now. Really cool design. I think it's pretty awesome. So he's an attack type. Nat 5, of course. Flavor text is a being that wanders through dimensions. Presumably, it appears differently to each person. To tamers in Udican, it appears as some kind of dragon, but no one knows what it really is. So that's kind of interesting. You'd think a being that powerful would be, I don't know, even stronger. Like, that's some flavor text for a limited dragon. That's all I'm saying. Or even a topaz dragon. Something super, super uncommon. But yeah, so let's look at this guy. So right off the bat, it looks like he's a 3 mana cost attacker. So that's already kind of puts I don't want to say a negative mark against it, because I use a 3 mana cost team in PvP myself. So, but they're harder to build and they're, I don't know, a little less consistent, I would say, because of the amount of mana that it requires to run a team like this. But let's jump into it. We'll take a look. Alright, so this is the fire type. Slice through space and time with the power of another dimension, inflicting damage to enemies. This attack receives a 60% bonus of your attack. So he scales off of attack, so pretty simple, very easy to build, just by looking right at that. Target count of 4, and it's an X formation, kind of a, yeah, just a regular X, not a plus. Cooldown 32 seconds, and we can increase the damage. So nothing that stands out so far. It's just a very simple attack. Reminds me a lot of Varus. Varus has a similar kind of, scales off of attack. Varus is a little better though. He's got a target count of 5. Let's look at the light and the dark. They all have the same exact skill. So nothing changes. They all scale off of attack. Let's jump over to the very end here to the bonus that you get on the drag skill though. Becomes more powerful as the target's critical damage goes up. So that's interesting. That's on the fire and the dark as well. So all three are the same on this skill as well. As the critical damage goes up. So this kind of tells me that this dragon's really going to only be useful in PvP. Reason I say that is because a lot of stuff like your clan dungeons and your other PvE environment where you're fighting just the computer, the AI, and not a team that a person has built, they're not going to be like stacking a whole bunch of crazy amounts of critical damage, 150 plus critical damage, right? You're not going to see that on a game made team. So if you want to get a big hit out of this guy, you're going to have to use him in PvP. But then it also kind of, it balances back and forth, right? For a long time, critical damage dragons were mostly like one of the best you could have, because once you hit 100% crit rate, Then getting beyond that kind of felt a little wasteful because you're not going to be increasing your damage anymore on anything else. So critical damage was the ideal. You hit 100% crit rate, either with your tamer, your leadership, whatever, and then you could just put a massive amount of critical damage on a dragon, and they could do crazy damage. Now the meta has shifted a little bit, and critical rate is a little more popular. It's literally about 50-50 though on the teams that you see in the top cut, like top 20 teams. I would say literally it's either critical damage or critical rate. It goes back and forth a lot. I personally am a critical damage user, so my dragons all have a lot of crit damage on them. Dark Arcana is a critical damage scaling dragon, which for a long time has been the best in the game. Critical damage scaling dragons have the higher cap that they can hit. They can do more damage. However, their consistency on those crits when they actually do hit is a little less because of critical rate avoidance on dragons now is a lot higher than it used to be. People are just going for that a little bit more. So that's why meta has shifted a little bit to critical rate, as that being a higher focus. All right. So yeah, all these guys are going to be the same on that. So just a thing to think about. It's not bad, but it's also less. You're not going to get the full use out of it every single match, as you could on other dragons that are going to scale off of different things. Some dragons, like the evil dragon, the fire evil dragon, he just gets a bonus on everything, against everything. Other dragons out there, they get it off of every attack type dragon. They get a scale, like other evil dragons, or they scale the higher when they do crit against dragons that are defense types or support types, so on and so forth. So only scaling off of crit damage. Not every team is going to have a dragon that scales off of crit damage. So you just got to think about these things. So maybe a dragon, maybe this isn't the best option for you, but we'll get to that. Alright, let's go back to this passive here. Every set duration, inflict damage to enemies. Prioritize attack type enemies with 100% chance to decrease the target's attack for 8 seconds. And it receives a 50% bonus of your attack. And you can increase it even more on top of that. Target count of 2 every 15 seconds, not bad. Prioritize attack types, that's pretty cool. You want to kill those guys off as fast as possible, because then you can just slowly work through the remaining dragons, the support types, and the healers, and the tanks. Once you're not taking any more like heavy damage, you can usually win a match. Right, so that decreases the attack. Light type will decrease the target's crit rate, and then dark type will decrease the target's defense. So I think all of these are all beneficial. Every one of these, doesn't matter which one you're going to pull, I think they're all pretty good. You're going to want to decrease the attack because you'll survive better. You're going to want to decrease the defense because you want to do more damage to them. You want to decrease the crit rate because if they're not getting crits on you, then they're not going to be doing nearly as much damage as they want to be. Also, which works for crit damage and crit rate dragons. So if they're scaling off of crit damage and you lower their crit rate and they're never landing those crits, then they're completely wasted. If you're doing this to a crit rate scaling dragon, then you're just decreasing their damage multiplier as well. So you're going to find a benefit on that one in either case. And then decreasing attack, I mean, that's never not good. So especially when it prioritizes attack types. That's what makes these dragons so great, is because they all prioritize the attack type. And that's where you're going to want to put these debuffs on. The last passive here, increase attack for 10 seconds. You can decrease, duration increase by 10 seconds. So, and this cooldown is every 10 seconds. So you're going to be, once you get this skilled up, 20 seconds. So you're going to have double attack buffs pretty much constantly on that guy, on the fire type. Light type is just a flat 20% bonus that goes up by another 10%, so 30% attack bonus is pretty nice, and then crit rate up by 30% there as well with those two combined. Just makes it easier to rune, basically, for this guy, because he scales off of attack here, so it just makes it easier to rune them. So you could go with, you might not have to put a crit rate percentage rune in that middle slot. You know, you could use maybe 2 purple runes and then 4 reds, but then on the middle slot, make sure that's like crit damage, you know, or even attack percentage just to get more attack here. You know, whatever you want to go with. It, like I said, it doesn't really matter. Either option is fine. So, because then you're gonna have, just make sure your substats are good on crit rate, and you'll be covered. So you're gonna get substat crit rate. You'll get this bonus crit rate. You'll get the crit rate bonus you're gonna get from the 2 purple runes. You're gonna hopefully have a leadership that's gonna give you crit rate, and then if you should be using the Kathos Tamer, which is gonna give you more crit rate. So by having this passive here, you don't need to waste a rune slot on crit rate. So that's pretty nice. So maybe dark type kind of pulls ahead a little bit because of that, but I think they're all pretty even. I couldn't say which one is better, honestly. I think they're all good in their own unique way. Just changes how you build them a little bit, but nothing too crazy. You're gonna have 4 reds on all of them. Probably, I do 4 reds and 2 pinks would probably be the best, and then make sure that 4th slot, that middle rune is, I say 4th, it is 4th, right? Yeah, it's 4th. Make sure that 4th slot is a crit rate percentage. Pretty simple build there. Again, the purple one, the dark type, you could maybe consider, if you got the other runes that are good with good substats, you could not go for a 4 slot crit rate percentage and go for a crit damage or attack percentage rune in that 4th slot instead. So pretty simple overall. Very straightforward dragon. No strange gimmicks. Just does good attack. Gets good buffs for itself. It does scale off of crit damage, so that's a little iffy. Just kind of depends on where the meta is at the moment. Right now, crit rate and crit damage, like I said, are about 50-50 in the top teams. So you're going to you'll benefit at least half the time if you're in top cut. If you're not in top cut, you might not see a benefit, honestly. I noticed that once you get into like 100 or higher in the rankings, then what you fight is just all over the place. You'll have lots of dragons out there where people just throw on a whole bunch of attack percentage, throw on 4 reds. Some people throw on 6 reds because they're not realizing that they're messing up real bad, because you're going to have 2 wasted runes there. That's not how it works, people. Watch my rune guide. If you're putting 6 reds on a dragon, watch my rune guide, because you're doing it completely wrong. You're literally wasting slots. You're wasting time. You're wasting my time. and all that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so in those scenarios, you know, might not get as much of a buff out of this guy as you would like. So, which puts him in an awkward position. I think if you don't have a good AoE attacker, this guy might be a pickup for you. I've been trying to get one myself. I'll post a video. Actually, sorry, no. Me trying to pick this dragon up in crit rate, I've got a patron-only video. If you are a Patreon supporter, it's $5 a month to get access to my Discord server. And once you're in the Discord server, I post links to Patreon-only videos. And me trying to pick this guy up as a bonus video this month. So I've got my normal rate up, and then I've got a bonus rate up summoning video where I try to get this guy as well. So see if I get him or not. You'll have to watch that video. But yeah, so if you're a veteran to the game, it might be a skip for you. You're probably going to have better options out there. I think there's just better options in general. But that's from a standpoint of I've been playing this game for over a year, and I've just gathered better options. But if you're relatively new, you don't have a good AoE attacker. You don't have a good fire AoE attacker, right, for PvP or whatever. He's not a bad pickup. I think he's pretty strong. He's a little harder to build a good team for PvP because he's a 3 mana cost dragon. There's only select dragons out there that are going to give you good benefits for this. What I recommend, what I personally do or have done in the past, is run 2 AoE attackers that are 3 mana cost to use their skills, right? Run 2 attackers and then have a support type that benefits 3 mana cost dragons. So dragons like Loris, Earth Loris, I think all the other ones, they all do it. For 3 mana cost dragons, they reduce the timer, and when you use those skills, it increases your mana regeneration time, so it doubles your mana regen when you use these dragon skills because they're 3 mana cost. Other dragons are like things like Bagma, but be careful because only certain Bagmas, like Earth Bagma, is good for these guys because he reduces the cooldown timer of 3 mana cost skills. So you can use these guys' skills more often, as well as he has a chance at a mana regeneration also. The last benefits I would say would be something like a Lamgon, like Dark and I think it's Dark and Light have a they get the double mana regeneration also when you use a 3 mana cost skill. So dragons like that are going to benefit you probably the most with these, but that's it. Whereas 2 mana cost dragons, 2 mana cost attackers, they're a little easier to find builds that work for them. There's a lot more dragons that benefit 2 mana cost skills rather than these 3 mana cost ones. So that's just my thoughts. It's a little harder to build, and there are better alternatives out there, but if you're relatively new, he's not a bad pickup. He's not a bad waste of time. Like I said, I made a video where I'm trying to go for him myself, just because maybe he might not be bad to have just in my pocket for later, you know? So that's kind of where I view him, is I wouldn't mind having one myself. So let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm wrong, or you have other ideas that could work well with him, or what he could be used for, I would love to know. So put it in the comments below, and with that, we'll see you next time.